Hello mates, and welcome back to our latest edition of the Zonă report. Our apologies for the delay in publishing this report, but it was summertime after all. You know, that season of the year where we go outside to get roasted by the sun at 50 degrees Celsius. Although there isn't much left of this summer now, I suppose, because we're fast approaching autumn in our little corner of the world. Nothing we can do about that, unfortunately, but for better or worse, the vacation is over and we're back in front of the screens, ready to get back into action. So, let's cut out the introduction here and get down to business as usual. Our first piece of breaking news comes from Grinding Gear Games, or GGG for short. Quite a lot of G's there, you might say. We are talking about the studio that brought us the highly acclaimed Path of Exile, a free-to-play action role-playing game, the only game actually ever developed by this studio. But we have good news, because now they will have two games under their brand. The new addition is, of course, Path of Exile 2. Is the only formula they know how to cook well, I suppose, so good for them. During Gamescom 2023, GGG released a new 13-minute long gameplay video for the Druid class, presenting some of the mechanics in more detail. Unfortunately, however, we still don't have an official release date on when this new hack-and-slash action RPG will come out. We can only assume for the moment that somewhere in the near future. They're probably waiting for the waters to calm down a bit after the release of Diablo 4 to probably make a bigger splash in the hack-and-slash action RPG world. We will, of course, keep you posted on this subject further down the way, with any bits of information that come out in the near future. Now, our next topic is related to the recently released Immortals of Aveum, a first-person shooter game developed by Ascendant Studios and published by Electronic Arts, because that's the only thing they know how to do well, parting on our hopes and dreams with an enviable flatulence. The game fully utilizes the new technologies of Unreal Engine 5, so much so that you will probably need a quantum computer just to enter the damn menu. On top of that, Immortals of Aveum seems to have the worst implementation of frame generation feature ever seen, as reported by multiple publications, particularly affecting owners of RTX 40 series graphics cards. This is understandable because only 40 series GPUs have this technology available. But wait just a moment there, the developers have some good news for us. Or rather, we'd have hope for some good news. You see, Immortals of Aveum recently received its first patch, which according to Ascendant Studios packs a number of fixes and may, and I emphasize the word may, slightly improve performance. Well, yeah, thanks a lot for the effort, but not really. Now, we can dispute the fact that the game looks beautiful, mostly thanks to the technologies implemented in Unreal Engine 5, but if you need the $1200 GPU just to enter the menu or require the use of DLSS or other similar technologies to play the fracking game, that's a big no-no in our books. After all, according to the latest Steam hardware survey, the old GTX 1650 still holds the crown among gamers. And how many frames do you think this ancient GPU is putting out in this awesome game? Around 12 or 18 frames per second? Yeah, that's right, with everything set to minimum quality, of course. So we could say with confidence now, I suppose, that the word optimization has already left the gaming industry some time ago. And this year was truly a disaster in terms of releases, with multiple poorly optimized or completely non-functional games. That being the case, I guess the only thing left to do now is get a big fat loan and join the $1200 GPU club. After which, enjoy for a while biscuits with tea and some boiled boot letter for lunch. Until you pay off your credit, of course, and realize you need another GPU because your less than 2-year-old RTX 4090 can't even spit out 60 frames in a newly released games. But don't panic just yet. It seems that the future of gaming is not that grey after all. There's still hope out there. All is not lost, my fellow gamers, at least for now. Of course, it remains to be seen further down the line of time. But the sun shines down upon us and we have a ray of hope over here. That's because, you see, AMD did what Nvidia wouldn't, and they probably didn't expect to ever happen, especially not in the timeline of Jensen Huang. Earlier, we were discussing technologies like DLSS and how they are becoming a necessity to enjoy newly released games, which is slowly but surely becoming a sad reality, unfortunately. Among other releases and interesting things shown at Gamescom this year, AMD announced two new somewhat budget-friendly GPUs, more precisely the Radeon RX 7800 XT and RX 7700 XT. Not exactly news, you might say. After all, we knew from sources that AMD is planning a release sometime this fall. But the bombshell in their Gamescom presentation came in the form of a piece of software, FSR 3.0 more precisely, AMD's alternative to DLSS 3. This piece of software can truly say stole the show right under Nvidia's asses, when they least expected it. You can be sure Nvidia didn't expect AMD announcing that FSR 3.0 comes bundled with the so-called fluid motion frames, a kind of frame generation technique similar to the one incorporated in DLSS. Nothing special so far. We were expecting AMD, after all, to compete with Nvidia at one point on this. But the key difference here though is that AMD has made a big move to push the adoption of FSR 3.0 technology in as many products as possible, from consoles to video cards from any manufacturer, be it Nvidia or even Intel. Yeah, you heard that right. AMD made a brave move here by giving FSR 3.0 free rein in the wild with the possibility of it being adopted by any of its competitors. Somewhat similar to FreeSync, which slowly but surely killed Nvidia's G-Sync. But there's more good news, because FSR doesn't even have to be adopted by competitors, because you'll be able to activate it from the game's menu on any GPU, regardless of the manufacturer. On top of that, it will work even on 10-year-old graphics cards. Furthermore, it will not be necessary for the game developer to incorporate the technology directly into the game, because in parallel with FSR 3.0, AMD also announces HyperRX, a driver-level toolkit that's set to extend the reach of AMD's fluid motion frame tech much wider, for thousands of games in fact. So I guess Nvidia may have a bit of a problem here on their hands, especially in justifying the need to have RTX 40 series GPU to enjoy their frame generation technique. But we'll see which way things move in the near future, I suppose. With FSR 3.0 set to launch this September, it's sure to be an interesting show to watch. That being said, we're pretty much done here with this week's hot topics. So see you soon on our next Zone report, and until then, take care of yourselves, your loved ones, and last but not least, your wallets. You'll need them for the winter holidays, after all. This is my recommendation for you, as usual. Signing out.